time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good evening, King's Restaurant.
Good evening. I'm ringing about the job I understand you have vacant.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to find out a few more details, if I may.
Yes, of course. Can I take your name?
It's Peter Chin.
Okay, Peter. Well, if you want to ask about the job, and then if we're both still interested, we could arrange for you to come for an interview.
Great, thanks. I'm afraid I missed the advert for the job, but heard about it from a friend.
That's no problem at all. What would you like to know?
Well, what sort of work is it? Washing up?
It's answering the phone.
Oh, right, fine.
And not waiting at table.
That'd be good. And how many nights a week would it be?
Well, we're really only busy at the weekend.
So 2 nights?
3, actually, so it would work out at 12 hours a week.
That'd be fine. It wouldn't interfere with my studies.
Are you at the university?
Yes, first-year physics student.
Oh, right.
And because I'm not an EU national, would I need a work permit?
Yes, you would. Just get your tutor to sign it.
That wouldn't be a problem if I were to get the job. Where exactly is the restaurant?
Well, we have 2 branches. The one we're recruiting for is in Hillsdon Road.
I don't know that. How do you spell it, please?
It's HILLSDUNNE Road.
Got that. Thanks. Is it near a bus stop?
Yes, the nearest one would probably be just beside the library.
Oh, yes, I know it. That'd be fine for me. And could I ask about the pay?
We're offering £4.45 an hour.
That's very good. My last job was £3.95 an hour.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10.
Right, චූට්ටක් ඉන්න ඔහොම ඉන්න මිස්ටර් අසංක ප්‍රභාත් දැන්ද මේ මිස්ටර් අසංක ආවේ මිස්ටර් අසංක මිස්ටර් අසංක ඇහෙනවද ඔව් මිස්ටර් අසංක දැන්ද ජොයින් උනේ
Yes, sir, just now.
හරි ඕකේ ෆස්ට් මේ තර්ඩ් පේපර් එක අපි කරන්නේ ආන්සර්ස් ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණාද පළවෙනි ටිකට
Sir, actually, that's my sir, your class is like first time.
ඕකේ right හරි එහෙනම් කමන්නේ පේපර් එක තියෙනවනේ මිස්ටර් අසංක ගාව ඔයා you have the paper now nේද print out
Yeah, I have.
right now the recording is playing for question 5 and onwards okay පහේ ඉඳලා තමයි play වෙන්නේ now you can ask it okay
Okay, sir.
right okay right then මම play කරන්නම් අර නැවතපු channel එකේ ඉඳලා තමයි play වෙන්නේ
Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
We feel it's pretty good, and we also offer some good fringe benefits.
Really?
Well, we give you a free dinner, so you eat well.
Right. Better than hostel food.
We certainly hope so. And we also offer extra pay for working on national holidays.
Oh, that's a really good perk, isn't it?
Yes, we think so. And then because of the difficulties of getting public transport, if you're working after 11 o'clock, we drive you home.
Oh, that's good to know.
Well, we'd certainly be interested in inviting you for an interview, if you're still interested.
Oh, yes, certainly. Could I just also ask what qualities you're looking for?
Well, for this particular job, we want a clear voice, which you obviously do have,
Thanks.
and you must be able to think quickly, you know.
Well, I hope I...
So, when could you come in for an interview? We're actually quite quiet tonight.
Sorry, I couldn't come tonight. Or tomorrow, I'm afraid. Thursday's okay. That'd be 22nd of October?
Fine, after 5 p.m.?
Yes, fine. Would 6 o'clock be okay?
Perfect. And could you bring along the names of 2 referees?
Yes, that's fine. No problem.
Good. I look forward to seeing you.
Oh, by the way, who should I ask for?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. My name is Samira Manuja.
Can you spell that, please?
Manuja.
Okay. I've got that. Thanks very much.
Look forward to seeing you later on then.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear part of a radio program about the opening of a new local sports shop. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Now we go to Jane, who is going to tell us about what's happening in town this weekend.
Right, thanks, Andrew. And now on to what's new. And do we really need yet another sports shop in Bradcaster? Well, most of you probably know Sports World, the branch of a Danish sports goods company that opened a few years ago. It's attracted a lot of custom, and so the company has now decided to open another branch in the area. It's going to be in the shopping centre to the west of Bradcaster. So that will be good news for all of you who found the original shop in the north of the town hard to get to. I was invited to a special preview, and I can promise you, this is the ultimate in sports retailing. The whole place has been given a new minimalist look with the company's signature colours of black and red. The first 3 floors have a huge range of sports clothing as well as equipment. And on the top floor, there's a cafe and a book and DVD section. You'll find all the well-known names, as well as some less well-known ones. If they haven't got exactly what you want in stock, they promise to get it for you in 10 days. Unlike the other store, where it can take up to 14 days. They cover all the major sports, including football, tennis and swimming. But they particularly focus on running, and they claim to have the widest range of equipment in the country. As well as that, a whole section of the 3rd floor is devoted to sports bags, including the latest designs from the States. If you can't find what you want here, it doesn't exist.
Before you hear the rest of the programme, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
The shop will be open from 9 a.m. this Saturday, and if you go along to the opening, then you'll have the chance to meet the national 400 metres running champion, Paul King, who's coming along to open the shop. And he will be staying around until about midday to chat to any fans who want to meet him and sign autographs. Then there will be a whole range of special attractions all weekend. There will be free tickets for local sporting events for the first 50 customers, and also a special competition open to all. Just answer 15 out of 20 sports questions correctly to win a signed copy of Paul King's DVD, Spring Tips, while the first person to get all the questions correct gets a year's free membership of the Bradcaster Gym. All entrants will receive a special sports calendar with details of all Bradcaster fixtures in the coming year. One of the special opening offers is a fitness test, a complete review of your cardiac fitness and muscle tone, actually done in the shop by qualified staff. This would normally cost £30, but is available at half price for this month only. There are only a limited number of places available for this, so to make a booking, phone 560-341. In addition, if you open an account, you get lots more special offers, including the chance to try out equipment at special open evenings.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. Two overseas students called Spiros and Hiroko have just finished the first semester of their university course. They are discussing with their English language teacher how they coped with the course. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Before we start, Spiros and Hiroko, thanks for coming in today to talk about your recent study experiences, and congratulations to you both in doing so well in your first semester exams.
Thank you.
I'd like to discuss with you the value of the English for Academic Purposes course you did here last year before starting your university course. Spiros, if I could start with you, what parts of the program have now proved to be particularly valuable to you?
I think that having to do a seminar presentation really helped me. For example, a couple of weeks ago in our marketing subject, when it was my turn to give a presentation, I felt quite confident. Of course, I was still nervous, but because I had done one before, I knew what to expect. Also, I know I was well prepared, and I had practiced my timing. In fact, I think that in relation to some of the other people in my group, I did quite a good job, because my overall style was quite professional. What about you, Hiroko?
That's interesting. In my group, I was really surprised by the way the students did their presentations. They just read their notes aloud. Can you believe that? They didn't worry about their presentation style or keeping eye contact with their audience. And I remember that these things were really stressed to us in the course here.
So, how did you approach your presentation, Hiroko?
Well, to speak frankly, I read my notes too. At the time, it was a relief to do it this way, but actually, when I had finished, I didn't feel any real sense of satisfaction. I didn't feel positive about the experience at all.
That's a pity. You know, although I was pleased with my presentation, I am not so pleased with my actual performance right now in the tutorials. During the whole semester, I've not said anything in our tutorial discussions. Not a word.
Really, Spiros? Why's that? Do the other students talk too much?
It's partly that, but it's mostly because I have had no confidence to speak out. Their style of speaking is so different. It's not the style we were used to during the course. They use so many colloquialisms. They're not very polite, and sometimes there seems to be no order in their discussion. Also, they are very familiar with each other. So, because they know each other's habits, they can let each other into the discussion.
You're right, Spiros. I've experienced that too.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
For most of this semester, I've said absolutely nothing in tutorials. But recently, I've been trying to speak up more, and I just jump in. And I've noticed an interesting thing. I've noticed that if they thought my point was interesting or new, then the next time they actually asked for my opinion. And then it was much easier for me to be part of the discussion.
Oh, that's great, Hiroko. I hope that happens for me next semester. I'll have to work hard to find some interesting points. What helped you to find these ideas?
I think that one thing that helped me with this was the reading. I've had to do so much reading this semester just to help me make sense of the lectures. At first, I couldn't understand what the lectures were talking about, so I had to turn to the books and journals. Every night I read for hours, using the lists of references that were given, and I made pages of notes. At breakfast, I read and read my notes again. This habit has helped me to follow the ideas in the lectures, and it's also given me some ideas to use in the tutorials.
But I did so much reading anyway. I don't think there's any time left over for anything extra. My reading speed is still quite slow, though I'm much better at dealing with vocabulary than I used to be.
What else do you think we could add to the course program to help with this reading problem?
There's not really anything because it's my problem. I remember we were given long articles to read. We didn't like that, but now I realize that reading those long articles was good preparation for the things I need to read now. Also, in class, we regularly had speed reading tasks to do, and we kept a record of our reading speed, so the teachers were encouraging us to work on that.
That's true, Spiros, but what we read could have been different. Sometimes in the English class, I felt frustrated when I had to read articles about the environment or health or education, because I wanted to concentrate on my own field, but we didn't read anything about engineering. So I think I wasted some time learning vocabulary I didn't need.
But surely the strategies you were taught for dealing with that vocabulary were helpful?
Yes, but psychologically speaking, I would have felt much better working on reading from my own field. What do you think, Spiros?
Oh, I agree. That would have helped my confidence too, and I would have been more motivated. It was good, though, that we could work on our own topics when we wrote the research assignments.
Okay, let's move on to writing now.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about a problem related to the behaviour of certain sea creatures. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, with some of you about to go out on field work, it's timely that in this afternoon's session I'll be sharing some ideas about the reasons why groups of whales and dolphins sometimes swim ashore from the sea right onto the beach and, most often, die in what are known as mass strandings. Unfortunately, this type of event is a frequent occurrence in some of the locations that you'll be travelling to, where sometimes the tide goes out suddenly, confusing the animals. However, there are many other theories about the causes of mass strandings. The first is that the behaviour is linked to parasites. It's often found that stranded animals were infested with large numbers of parasites. For instance, a type of worm is commonly found in the ears of dead whales. Since marine animals rely heavily on their hearing to navigate, this type of infestation has the potential to be very harmful. Another theory is related to toxins or poisons. These have also been found to contribute to the death of many marine animals. Many toxins, as I'm sure you're aware, originate from plants or animals. The whale ingests these toxins in its normal feeding behaviour, but whether these poisons directly or indirectly lead to stranding and death seems to depend upon the toxin involved. In 1988, for example, 14 humpback whales examined after stranding along the beaches of Cape Cod were found to have been poisoned after eating tuna that contained saxitoxin, the same toxin that can be fatal in humans. Alternatively, it has also been suggested that some animals strand accidentally by following their prey ashore in the confusion of the chase. In 1995, David Thurston monitored pilot whales that beached after following squid ashore. However, this idea does not seem to hold true for the majority of mass strandings because examination of the animal's stomach contents revealed that most had not been feeding as they stranded. There are also some new theories which link strandings to humans. A growing concern is that loud noises in the ocean cause strandings. Noises such as those caused by military exercises are of particular concern and have been pinpointed as the cause of some strandings of late. One of these, a mass stranding of whales in 2000 in the Bahamas, coincided closely with experiments using a new submarine detection system. There were several factors that made this stranding stand out as different from previous strandings. This led researchers to look for a new cause. For one, all the stranded animals were healthy. In addition, the animals were spread out along 38 kilometers of coast, whereas it's more common for the animals to be found in a group when mass strandings occur. A final theory is related to group behavior and suggests that sea mammals cannot distinguish between sick and healthy leaders and will follow sick leaders, even to an inevitable death. This is a particularly interesting theory, since the whales that are thought to be most social, the toothed whales, are the group that strand the most frequently. The theory is also supported by evidence from a dolphin stranding in 1994. Examination of the dead animals revealed that, apart from the leader, all the others had been healthy at the time of their death. Without one consistent theory, however, it is very hard for us to do anything about this phenomenon, except to assist animals where and when we can. Stranding networks have been established around the world to aid in rescuing animals and collecting samples from those that could not be helped. I recommend John Connor's Marine Mammals Ashore as an excellent starting point if you're interested in finding out more about these networks or establishing one yourself.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer.
You will hear a number.
right time එකක් ඕනද fill කරන්න අර short form ලියලා තියෙනවා මොන හරි තියෙනවා නම් fill කරන්න fill කරලා ගන්න අපි discuss කරමු answers ටික right right shall we begin අපි පටන් ගමුද හරි tick කරගන්න answers ටික right first one, phone, 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 right? Second one, hill Sdunne road, manga spelling scanner, HILL SDUNNE ROAD road, right? Again, HILL SDUNNE road. Then third one, library, LIBRARY. Then fourth one, 4.45, right? 4.45. 4.45. Then fifth one, national holidays, right? NATIONAL, national, HOLIDAYS, holidays. Then after 11 o'clock, right? After 11 o'clock, right? Then 7, clear voice, CLEAR, clear VOICE voice, right? 8, think quickly, THINK, think, QUICKLY, right? 9, 22nd October, 22 October, OCTOBER, October. 10, Manuja, 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 right? Did anyone miss? Karan miss unada? I can't know there.
Sir, may I පොඩ්ඩක් කියන්නකෝ?
ඔක්කොමද miss?
Oh, sir, first again.
Right. First one, phone, 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 right? Second one, Hills Dunne Road, HILLS DUNNE ROAD. Third one, library, LIBRARY. Fourth one, 4.45, 4.45. Fifth one, national holidays, NATIONAL HOLIDAYS. Sixth one after 11 o'clock. Right? 7. Clear voice. CLERVOICE. Then think quickly. 8. THINKQUICKLY. 9. 22 October. 22nd October. OCTOBER. 10. Manuja. MANUJA. Okay?
Okay,
Right.
sir.
Right. Then 11. 11. Branch. 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 12. West. 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 13. Clothing. 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 14. 10. Dahaya. Ilaka million. 15. Running. 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 16. Bags. 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 17. A. 18. A. Right? 19. 19A. Or you can get it E. 19ට A හෝ E. 20ටත් A හෝ E. ඒ දෙක මාරු කරලා ආවට කමන්නේ. හරිද? Right. Then 21. B. 22. C. 23. B. 24. A. 25. C. 26. B. 27. A. 28. B. 29. C. 30. B. Right? Then 31. Tide or tides. TIDE tide or TIDES. 32. Hearing. එහෙම නැත්නම් ear. එහෙම නැත්නම් ears. Okay? HEARING hearing or EAR ear or ears. EARS ears. All of the three are correct. මේ තුනම හරි. තියෙනවා නම් හරි. 33. Plants and animals. PLANTS. Plants and animals. ANIMALS. Spellings හරියට ලියන්න. Spellings වැරදුනොත් answer is correct. Okay? marks හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. Spellings හරියට ලියන්න ඕනේ. 34. Feeding. 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 35. Noise or noises. NYSE or NOISES. Noises. Then noises. 36. Healthy. 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 37. Group. 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 38. Social. 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 39. Leader. 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 40. Network or networks. Right? NETWORK or NETWORKS. Networks. Right? Anyone miss the answers? කියන්න Mr. Chaya. මම මේ group එකට දාන answers ටික. හරි check කරලා බලන්න. මම score එකත් එවලා ඇති band score එක. right කියන්න බලන්න මට message දාන්න හරි ගිය ප්‍රමාණය මට මේ private message දාන්න හැමෝම ඔය බලන්න ගිය පාරට වැඩිය right වැඩිද කියලා 1 or 2 හරි කමන්නේ right Miss Arosha Mr Arosha කොහොමද තත්ත්වේ right 20 තියෙනවා එක්කෙනෙක්ට good right 31 තියෙනවා good Miss Benedict right 21 good right ටික ටික වැඩි කරගමු okay right මම රෙකෝඩින් එකක් දානවා රෙකෝඩින් එකක් මම මේ දාන්න YouTube එකට ආයෙ ඔක අහලා කරන්න okay එතකොට ඔයාලට ඔක තව මේ පුළුවන් වෙනවා එතකොට ඒ වචන වලට ෆැමිලියර් වෙනවා right ආයෙ ඔක මේ කරන්න පේපර් එක right එහෙනම් අපි ගාවකට යන්න සෙකන්ඩ් එකත් කරමු මොකද අපිට පේපර් එකක් සාකච්ඡා කරගෙන යනවා හරි මොන හරි questions තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න right මොන හරි questions ඔය සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න දැන් right හරි demotivate වෙන්න එපා අඩු වුණා කියලා right practice කරමු practice තුලින් okay
සර් දැන් අර මේ එකකට 11 o'clock කියලා තියෙනවනේ ආන්සර් එක. ඒක අපි 11 විතරක් කියලා තිබ්බොත්
11 ලියලා තිබ්බොත් හැබැයි ආන්සර් එකේ තියෙන 11 o'clock කියලා මිස් right ඒකේ full ආන්සර් එක ලියන්න ඕනේ 11 කිව්වහම මේක නම්බර් එකක් විතරනේ මේක ටයිම් එකක් නේ අහන්නේ okay ඔව් ඒ හන්දා ඒක ඒ ආන්සර් එක ලියන්න සම්පූර්ණයෙන් මේක ලියන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේ එතන ලියලා දාන්න ඕන අපි okay right ආයර් names තිබ්බ සමහර names තිබ්බේවා ඔයාලා ඒවා capital ලියන්න අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම right මෙතන තිබ්බා මම මතකයි අර road එකක් ගැන එකක් තිබ්බා ආයර් මනුජා කියලා right ඒකේ m capital ලියන්න right මොකද ගම් නගර නේද ඒ වගේ nouns තියෙන ඒවා ගම් නගර පුද්ගලයන්ගේ නම් ඒවා capital වෙන්න ඕනේ right ඒක ලියන්න capital ලිව්වේ නැහැ කියලා වැරද්දක් නැහැ හැබැයි අර කර සාමාන්‍ය ඉංග්‍රීසි වල ඒක නීතියනේ ඒ හන්ද ඒවා capital වලින් ලියන්න right right hari shall we go to the next one අපි ඊගාවෙකට යන්න හරි හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් මට මැසේජ් කරන්න WhatsApp එකට හරි කමන්නේ මේකට හරි කමන්නේ මම ආන්සර් කරන්න හරි අපි ඊගාවෙකට යන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න ටෙස්ට් 4 එකට ගන්න right හරි පේපර් එක ගන්න පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න ඇහෙනවද කියලා මම ඊට පස්සේ ආයෙ දාන්න
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only.
Okay.
At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes.
Right. Start now.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Section 1. You will hear a man telephoning to ask about a job in a hotel. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, West Bay Hotel. Can I help you?
Oh, good morning. I'm ringing about your advertisement in the Evening Gazette.
Is that the one for temporary staff?
That's right.
Yes. I'm afraid the person who's dealing with that isn't in today, but I can give you the main details if you like.
Yes, please. Could you tell me what kind of staff you're looking for?
We're looking for waiters at the moment. There was one post for a cook, but that's already been taken.
Oh, right. What are the hours of work?
There are 2 different shifts. There is a day shift from 7 to 2 and a late shift from 4 till 11.
And can people choose which one they want to do?
Not normally, because everyone would choose the day shift, I suppose. You alternate from one week to another.
Okay, I'm just writing all this down. What about time off?
You get 1 day off, and I think you can negotiate which one you want. It's more or less up to you, but it has to be the same one every week.
Do you know what the rates of pay are?
Yes, I've got them here. You get £5.50 an hour, and that includes a break.
Do I have to go home to eat, or...?
You don't have to. You can get a meal in the hotel if you want to, and there's no charge for it, so you might as well.
Oh, good. Yes, so let's see. I get £231 a week.
You'd also get tips. Our guests tend to be quite generous.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Is there a uniform? What about clothes?
Yes, I forgot to mention that. You need to wear a white shirt, just a plain one, and dark trousers. You know, not green or anything like that. And we don't supply those.
That's okay, I've got trousers. I just have to buy a couple of shirts. What about anything else? Do I need a waistcoat or anything?
You have to wear a jacket, but the hotel lends you that.
I see. One last thing. I don't know what the starting date is.
Just a minute. I think it's sometime around the end of June. Yes, the 28th, in time for the summer.
That's great. I'm available from the 10th.
Oh, good. Well, if you can call again, you need to speak to the service manager. Her name's Jane Irwin. That's Urwin. And she'll probably arrange to meet you.
Okay. And when's the best time to ring?
Could you call tomorrow? She usually starts checking the rooms at midday, so before then if you can, so she'll have more time to chat. I'll just give you her number because she's got a direct line.
Thanks.
It's 832-009.
823-009?
No, 832.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'll do that.
And by the way, she will ask you for a reference, so you might like to be thinking about that. You know, just someone who knows you and can vouch for you.
Yes, no problem. Well, thanks very much for your help.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a man being interviewed on local radio about a plan to improve a suburb called Red Hill. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 13. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 13.
Good morning, and welcome again to your city today. With me today is Graham Campbell, a councillor from the City Council. He'll be telling us about the plan to improve the fast-growing suburb of Red Hill. Good morning, Graham, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Carol.
Now, Graham, I understand that there has been a lot of community consultation for the new plan.
Yes, we tried to address some of the concerns that local groups told us about. People we've heard from are mainly worried about traffic in the area, and in particular the increasing speed of cars near schools. They feel that it's only a matter of time before there's an accident as a lot of children walk to the school. So we're trying to do something about that. Another area of concern is the overhead power lines. These are very old, and a lot of people we spoke to asked if something could be done about them. Well, I'm happy to report that the power company have agreed to move the power lines underground at a cost of $800,000. I think that will really improve the look of the area, as well as being safer.
That's good to know. But will that mean an increase in rates for the local businesses in that area?
Well, the power company have agreed to bear the cost of this themselves after a lot of discussion with the council. This is wonderful news, as the council now has some extra funds for us to put into other things like tree planting and artwork.
Before you review, you have some time to look at questions 14 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 14 to 20.
Now, we've also put together a map which we've sent out to all the residents in the area. And on the map we've marked the proposed changes. Firstly, we'll plant mature pine trees to provide shelter and shade just to the right of the supermarket in Days Road. In order to address the traffic problems, the pavements on the corner of Carberry and Thomas Street will be widened. This will help to reduce the speed of vehicles entering Thomas Street. We think it's very important to separate the local residential streets from the main road, so the roadway at the entrance to Thomas Street from Days Road will be painted red. This should mark it more clearly and act as a signal for traffic to slow down. One way of making sure that the pedestrians are safe is to increase signage at the intersections. A Keep Clear sign will be erected at the junction of Evelyn Street and Hill Street to enable traffic to exit at all times. Something we're planning to do to help control the flow of traffic in the area is to install traffic lights halfway down Hill Street where it crosses Days Road. Now, we haven't only thought about the cars and traffic, of course. There's also something for the children. We're going to get school children in the area to research a local story, the life of a local sports hero, perhaps. And an artist will incorporate that story into paintings on the wall of a building on the other side of Hill Street from the supermarket. And finally, we've agreed to build a new children's playground, which will be at the other end of Hill Street, close to the intersection with Carberry Street.
Wonderful. Now, what's the next stage?
Well, the final plan...
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear two students called Dan and Jeannie discussing their studies at university. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Jeannie. How's it going?
Oh, hello, Dan. Pretty well, thanks. Have you managed to get the money for the course yet?
Yes, that's all sorted out now, thanks. It took long enough, though. It was practically a year ago that I applied to my local council for a grant, and it took them 6 months to turn me down.
That's really slow.
And I thought I was eligible for government funding, but it seems I was mistaken. So then I asked the boss of the company I used to work for if they would sponsor me, and much to my surprise, he said they'd make a contribution.
But what about college grants and scholarships? There must be some you could apply for.
Yes, there are, but they're all so small that I decided to leave them until I was desperate. And in fact, I didn't need to apply. My parents had been saying that as I already had a job, I ought to support myself through college. But in the end, they took pity on me, so now I've just about got enough.
That's good.
So now I can put a bit of effort into meeting people. Haven't had time so far. Any suggestions?
What about joining some college clubs?
Oh, right. You joined several, didn't you?
Yes, I'm in the drama club. It's our first performance next week, so we're rehearsing frantically, and I've got behind with my work, but it's worth it. I'm hoping to be in the spring production too.
I've never liked acting. Are you doing anything else?
I enjoyed singing when I was at school, so I joined a group when I came to college. I don't think the conductor stretches us enough though, so I'll give up after the next concert. And I also joined the debating society. It's fun, but with all the rehearsing I'm doing, something has to go, and I'm afraid that's the one.
Do you do any sports?
Yes, I'm in one of the hockey teams. I'm not very good, but I'd really miss it if I stopped. I decided to try tennis when I came to college, and I'm finding it pretty tough going. I'm simply not fit enough.
Nor me. Think I'll give that a miss.
I'm hoping it'll help me to build up my stamina, but it'll probably be a long haul.
Good luck.
Thanks.
How are you finding the course?
I wish we had more seminars.
What? I'd have thought we had more than enough already. All those people saying clever things that I could never think of. It's quite interesting, but I wonder if I'm clever enough to be doing this course.
I find it helpful to listen to the other people. I like the way we're exploring the subject and working towards getting insight into it.
How do you get on with your tutor? I don't think I'm on the same wavelength as mine, so I feel I'm not getting anything out of the tutorials. It would be more productive to read a book instead.
Oh, mine's very demanding. She gives me lots of feedback and advice, so I've got much better at writing essays. And she's helping me plan my revision for the end-of-year exams.
Do tell me, I always struggle with revision.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Well, the first thing is to find out exactly what's required in the exams.
Would it help to get hold of some past papers?
Yes, they'll help to make it clear.
Right, I'll do that. Then what?
Then you can sort out your revision priorities based on what's most likely to come up. I put these on a card and read them through regularly. But that isn't enough in itself. You also need a timetable to see how you can fit everything in the time available. Then keep it in front of you while you're studying.
I've done that before, but it hasn't helped me.
Maybe you need to do something different every day. So if you break down your revision into small tasks and allocate them to specific days, there's more incentive to tackle them. With big topics, you're more likely to put off starting.
Good idea.
And as I revise each topic, I write a single paragraph about it. Then later I can read it through quickly, and it helps fix things in my mind.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I also write answers to questions for the exam practice. It's hard to make myself do it, though.
Well, I'll try. Thanks a lot, Jeannie. That's a great help.
No problem.
See you around.
Bye.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecturer giving a talk about Australian rock art to a group of archaeology students. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. I've been invited to talk about my research project into Australian Aboriginal rock paintings. The Australian Aborigines have recorded both real and symbolic images of their time on rock walls for many thousands of years. Throughout the long history of this tradition, new images have appeared and new painting styles have developed. And these characteristics can be used to categorise the different artistic styles. Among these are what we call the dynamic, yam, and modern styles of painting. One of the most significant characteristics of the different styles is the way that humans are depicted in the paintings. The more recent paintings show people in static poses, but the first human images to dominate rock art paintings over 8,000 years ago were full of movement. These paintings showed people hunting and cooking food, and so they were given the name dynamic to reflect this energy. It's quite amazing considering they were painted in such a simple stick-like form. In the Yam period, there was a movement away from stick figures to a more naturalistic shape. However, they didn't go as far as the modern style, which is known as X-ray because it actually makes a feature of the internal skeleton as well as the organs of animals and humans. The Yam style of painting got its name from the fact that it featured much curvier figures that actually resemble the vegetable called the yam, which is similar to a sweet potato. The modern paintings are interesting because they include paintings at the time of the first contact with European settlers. Aborigines managed to convey the idea of the settlers' clothing by simply painting the Europeans without any hands, indicating the habit of standing with their hands in their pockets. Size is another characteristic. The more recent images tend to be life-size or even larger, but the dynamic figures are painted in miniature. Aboriginal rock art also records the environmental changes that occurred over thousands of years. For example, we know from the dynamic paintings that over 8,000 years ago, Aborigines would have rarely eaten fish, and sea levels were much lower at this time. In fact, fish didn't start to appear in paintings until the Yam period, along with shells and other marine images. The paintings of the Yam tradition also suggest that during this time, the Aborigines moved away from animals as their main food source and began including vegetables in their diet, as these feature prominently. Freshwater creatures didn't appear in the paintings until the modern period from 4,000 years ago. So these paintings have already taught us a lot. But one image that has always intrigued us is known as the Rainbow Serpent. The Rainbow Serpent, which is the focus of my most recent project, gets its name from its snake or serpent-like body, and it first appeared in the Yam period 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. Many believe it is a curious mixture of kangaroo, snake and crocodile. But we decided to study the Rainbow Serpent paintings to see if we could locate the animal that the very first painters based their image on. The Yam period coincided with the end of the last ice age. This brought about tremendous change in the environment, with the sea levels rising and creeping steadily inland. This flooded many familiar land features and also caused a great deal of disruption to traditional patterns of life, hunting in particular. New shores were formed and totally different creatures would have washed up onto the shores. We studied 107 paintings of the Rainbow Serpent and found that the one creature that matches it most closely was the ribboned pipefish, which is a type of seahorse. This sea creature would have been a totally unfamiliar sight in the inland regions where the image is found, and it may have been the inspiration behind the early paintings. So, at the end of the Ice Age, there would have been enormous changes in animal and plant life. It's not surprising, then, that the Aborigines linked this abundance to the new creatures they witnessed. Even today, Aborigines see the Rainbow Serpent as a symbol of creation, which is understandable given the increase in vegetation and the new life forms that featured when the image first appeared.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Right. Right, shall we discuss? අපි කතා කරමුද answers ටික? Right? හරි, බලාගමු. Right, check කරගන්න. First one. First one, waiter. Waiter or waiters. Right? W-A-I-T-E-R or W-A-I-T-E-R-S, waiters. Second one, day off. D-A-Y, day or double F off. Third one, break. B-R-E-A-K, break. Fourth one, free meal or meal. Harida? Free meal or meal. F-R-E-E, free, M-E-A-L, meal. Fifth one, dark or dark colored. D-R-K, dark, C-O-L-O-R-E-D, colored. Right? C-O-L-O-U-R-E-D කිව්වත් කමන්නේ. Colored කිව්වහම. Sixth one, jacket. J-A-K-E-T, jacket. Seventh one, 28 June. J-U-N-E, June. Eighth, Irvin. U-R-W-I-N, Irvin. Okay, U capital ලියන්න එක වඩාත් හොඳයි. Irvin, name එකන්නේ U-R-W-I-N. Ninth one, 12 p.m. or noon. Right? 12 p.m. or noon. N-O-O-N, noon. 10th one, reference. R-E-F-E-R-E-N-C-E, reference. Right?
Sir,
Kian.
Number 4.
Number 4, free meal. Okay, free. Oh, miss.
Pound ගානක් නෙවෙයි දෙන්න ඕනේ.
ඒකෙ
Total
තිබෙනවා.
weekly pay.
හරි ඉන්න මිස් මම බලන්න. හරි. Fourth one.
weekly pay කරන ගාන නේ ගහන්න.
Number 3 එකනේ meal එන්න ඕන.
Sorry මොකද්ද?
Number 3 එකනේ සර් meal එන්න ඕන.
හරි wait a bit.
meal.
Oh. A meal, free meal is provided for hotel. Total pay 4. Oh. Right. Number 3, break.
Number 2, break, sir.
Oh, wait a bit, including a break. Hurry. Including a break. Right. Hurry. Oh, okay. Hurry. Hurry, correct කරගන්න. Right. Oh, number 3, meal, free meal. හරිද? Right. 231. Okay. හරිද? 231. Okay. Right. Then fifth one, dark, DRK, dark, or colored, COLOURD, dark colored or dark. Right. Next one, jacket. Sixth one, JACKET, jacket. Seventh one, 28 June. ඊටික මම කිව්වා නේද? Right? 10ට එනකම් මම කිව්වා නේද? 10th reference.
Number 11 දැන් කියන්න.
හරි okay. Then 11A. Right? 11A. 12B. 13B. 14C. 15D. 16G. 17B. 18F. 19A. 20E. 21B.
Sorry?
Okay. 21B. Right? 21B. 22E. 23A.
Excuse me sir, මේ 21 22 දෙකට A දෙක මාරු වුණාට කමක් නැහැනේ. EB මාරු වුණාට කමක් නැහැනේ.
EB. Wait a bit, Amis. 21, 22. EB. Oh, come on, Amis. It's okay. Right. 23A. 23A. 24C. 25B. 26C. 27 priorities. PRIORITIES. Priorities again. PRIORITIES. 28 timetables. 29 small tasks or tasks. Right? TASKs, tasks or small tasks. 30 single paragraph or paragraph. Right? SINGLE PARAGRAPH, single paragraph, or without single you can write paragraph. 31C, 32B, 33C, 34A, 35B, 36B, 37 animal or creature. Dekama hari. ANIMAL, or you can write creature. CREATURE, creature. 38 C or water level. SEAC or water level. LEVEL. 39 hunting. HUNTING, hunting. 40 creation. CREATION, creation. Right. Kiyan misuna na koe hari? Right. Calculate කරගන්න. Message එකක් දාන්න. Right, දාන්න මට message එකක්. බලන්න කලින් පාරට වඩා වැඩිද? Right, 6 තියෙනවා එක්කෙනෙක්ට හොඳයි. Right, message එකක් දාන්න. Right, 21 good. ඉස්සරහට වැඩි එකක් හරි වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි අරමුණ වෙන්න ඕනේ මෙතන.